Adding text is pretty easy in Premiere. Just find the T tool, click on it, and click anywhere in your program viewer. We can move the text all around later on, so don't worry too much. I mean, if you want to go for the general location where you want the text to be, that's fine. But for now, just click anywhere. All right, we get a text entry box. I'm going to say that this piece is called Making Rice. And there's my classic thumbnail font, but it's not the one I want to use for this moment here. So I want to edit this. So there's a number of ways that we can edit the text that we make. I'm going to switch back to my selection tool for now. Up in Window, we can open the Essential Graphics. This is where we make changes to lots of stuff, but text as well. We can open that directly, or we can go to Workspaces and just switch over to either Captions and Graphics or just Graphics. So I'm going to switch over to the Graphics workspace. And here we are. And so we have a few options. We can browse through templates of text, like if you want to start with this, and then edit this text. I tend not to. Some of these are fine, but some of them are just kind of cheesy. So I usually just start with my own text and then switch over to the Edit tab. Cool, and then this just works like any other kind of text editor, whether you'd be, Google Docs or Microsoft Word or something like that. Like, stuff is sort of moved around, but all the stuff that you are familiar with will be here. So I'm going to highlight this just by double clicking. I've highlighted all the text, and now any changes that I make in here will apply to the text that I've highlighted. If you're making changes in here and you're not seeing them, you probably don't have the text highlight. So I don't want this to be heavy. Let's do that's something terrible. Ultralight italic, and let's change the fill color to neon green. Sure, why not? This is gonna make some wonderful titling here. And actually, I want a little bit more thickness, so I'm gonna change this to medium italic. That looks good. Sure, let's give a white outline on that. And the outline is a little bit too small, so I'm going to make this stroke width 5. No, that's still real tiny. Let's do stroke width 15. There we are. There's a nice white key line around there. And if you want a drop shadow, you can turn that on, and you can change its opacity and the direction the shadow is coming in, the distance from the text the shadow is falling. What else do I want to do? Just as an example. Great. And let's say I want this 2 lines actually. So I'm going to click in here, erase that space, but hit enter to line break it. And I actually want it to be centered. So let's select it all again and center that. And then I want a little bit more space between those 2 lines. So I'm going to increase the leading here. Right, this is just terrible. All right, I can't abide. That's just too bad. All right, that's still terrible, but whatever. And then let's make this significantly larger for some terrible reason. All right, that's not significant enough. Great, just awful. Let's drop that lighting back down a little bit. Cool. And then I want to center this in the frame, and Premiere has these quick alignment tools here. This is vertically centered, and this is horizontally centered. And then if you wanted to fuss it around these directional controls, this is again XY pixel counts, and so you can click and drag if you wanted to move that around at all. But that looks great to me. That's exactly the text style that I want. That's really horrific. But now you can see that our text is just another video asset here on the timeline, which gives us a number of very easy edits that we're already familiar with. One, we can move it through time. So if we want our text to be, our title to be here at the beginning, we can do that. Our trim controls apply here. So if I want my duration to be shorter for the text, I can just trim that up. Now that's 2 seconds and 11 frames long, sure. You know, I can have multiple instances. If I hold Option on the keyboard, that's the copy hotkey. So I can hold Option and then click and drag here. And now I'll have 2 instances of the text, and I can edit one if this is supposed to be some other text. That's a great way to sort of like, you know, carry over all the style decisions. A short film. Great, just wonderful. Let's realign that horizontally, or vertically, I mean. And you know what? I can't have lighting that big. Let's do, how's that look? That's great, but let's realign vertically again. Fantastic. I can hear the typographers and the graphic designers in the world crying out. All right, great. So that's how you add text. Another thing you could do with text is obviously wherever I move this text element, that's going to be where the text is. So if I don't have any video below it, then the text would just be over black. And so if I select my select track forward tool, I'm just going to click here and move everything down some, give myself some working room. Switch back to my selection tool, drop this down. Really doesn't matter what track it is if it's over black or over nothing. And then I'm going to switch to my track forward selection tool again and move all this back. To just a little bit after that second. So now we have our 2 seconds of black video. Then we encounter the first title, Making Rice. And then there's a short drop to black video again. And then the subtitle, a short film. And then a short drop to black video again. And then I want the video itself to fade in. So I'm going to apply, I'm going to right click right on that edge and then select Apply Default Transitions. That's going to fade in the video and audio. And remember with these, it's easy to change the duration of this fade. If I want a very quick fade in, I can make it only a few frames long. So that's 10 frames now. I know that our project is 24 frames a second. And so that fade in is less than half a second. Or if I want a very, very slow and gradual fade in, I can make it, there's a 5-second fade in. So it'll take 5 seconds for that image to fade in. Very slow and gradual. So totally up to you. And then don't forget, if you want to get rid of that fade, you can just click right on it and then hit delete or backspace on the keyboard and that fade goes away. So without the fade, look, I've only deleted the video fade. The audio fade is still there. That could be something that you want to do. Without the fade, the video just pops in. So total style choice. All right, so I'm not quite done. I've got my titles, but I also want to have some credits. So here we are at the very end of the piece. I'm going to make my video track a little bit taller so we got more stuff to look at. This is my 2 seconds of black video, and I know that has to come to the very, very end. So I'm going to move this down to make space for my credits. Let's select our T tool again. Click anywhere in the screen. Wow, I still got where we left off there with the font information. And the credits can be very basic. I don't need to credit anyone else in this project. If you need to, make sure you include them. Maybe I should credit the cat. Anyways, and I'm not going to do this overly stylized text. So let's just change the fill to, let's do kind of like a soft gray. Oh, nothing happened because I didn't have anything selected. Great, now I've got everything selected. Let's change the fill to a soft gray. That's great. I don't want a drop shadow. I do not want the white stroke. And I'm also gonna make it not medium italic. I'm just gonna do regular and much smaller. That is way too small. Let's try 100. And then my leading is totally messing up. The year is over my name. So let's just make this the default. Cool. And actually, I think I can have this all be on one line. That'll be okay. Again, style is to taste, but that'll work for me. I do want that vertically centered and horizontally centered. Great. Got my credit text in there. There's not a lot of information in here, so that can probably be on screen for a very short amount of time. So I'm going to change this duration to 2 seconds. Perfect. And I don't want the credits to pop up immediately after the last thing of my video. Like I want my audience to sit with that for, you know, a beat or two. So I'm going to leave a little pause between the end of my video and my credits. So I know this is 2 seconds long, so that's probably like a, you know, just less than 1 second. That'll probably be fine. And then the last asset on my timeline will be my 2 seconds of black video. So now if we play this, it's the bowl of rice. Great. Drops to black video, then the credits, and then the 2 seconds of black video at the very end. Now, whoop, jump to the beginning again. If we want to fade out of the last video clip, kind of like what we did on the way in, we did a fade in. Then we can click here and apply default transitions, and that'll be a fade out. So now we fade out, and then comes in our credits. And if we want to fade in the credits, we can right click there or control click and select apply default transitions. And now we have a fade in on the credits. I don't have a fade out, and so it'll be a hard drop to the black video. Cool. That's adding text. So if I look at my entire timeline, I can see that I've got my 2 seconds of black video. I've got title. I even threw in a subtitle. And then my content begins. And then my content ends. I drop to a space of black video, blank video. You can fill that with black video if you want, or you can just leave it blank. Then my credits come in, and then I have the final black video.